Yeah, when you go back and watch it, I mean, you're really pleased with the effort and the intensity that our guys played with, and we're playing winning football 95% of the game, and there's 6 plays in there that 6-7 plays that you go back and those are the difference in the game. And we've talked about this quite a bit. I mean, that's what it always comes down to is a handful of plays that make the difference. And right now, unfortunately, it's not like we're going 3 for 3 or 3 for 6. We're going 0 for 6. And you get an opportunity. Defense plays really good, man. They give you turnovers on the short side of the field, and we don't get points out of that. That's pretty deflating. The 2 picks and the fumble we had were careless. And, those things are going to happen from time to time, but they were careless, and you can't do that. 10 points for them came off of turnovers, and you got a chance to go and make it a 1-possession game early in the 4th, and we fumble the ball away. We finally flipped the field, and then defense, the one play they'd probably really like to have back, was just in a critical moment, didn't get it done. It's just, you got to love the way that these guys, man, they believe and they play for each other, and they're playing really hard. We just got to play a little smarter in some situations, and we've just got to make a couple critical plays there. And I think it's completely different outcomes. This isn't the only one. I just think we're playing good football more frequently than we were earlier in the year. It's just you're playing some good teams that are taking advantage of it. And, I'm proud of our guys up front on the offensive line and tight ends and running backs and quarterbacks certainly in the run game. With the crew that we had to be able to, put together and move the football pretty effectively 20-20. Just got to find ways to score. We ran the ball well, especially considering what we've got going on there. Just got to score some points. And, we've got to make sure I got to do a good job and get us moving forward, get us in the end zone. And, we've got to execute a little cleaner in some of those key situations. But, you move forward to Troy, that I think it's a similar type of team. They're finding ways to win. And every game that they've been in, it's been tight in the 4th quarter, and they find ways to win. They take advantage of the opportunities they've got, and they make plays in critical situations, something we've lacked. So, going on the road, it's not going to be easy, but certainly we've got to continue to play really hard, continue to play really well most of the game, and we've got to make some of these plays when they matter.
So you got David Bryant and Caden.
So Caden, we're pretty sure he'll be good to go. We've kind of moved into tier 3 a little bit early just with the number of injuries we have. So Sunday was really just film review and stuff like that and position meetings. And we'll get on the field tomorrow, which again, just where we're at, that practice will be pretty limited. It'll be a lot of walkthrough and stuff like that. But we feel really good about Caden. Spoke to Bryant today. He's going to try to make it happen this week. The MRI results were a lot better than what we thought they were. Cooper Fordham finished the game. I think he'll be good to go. Jacoby Isom is another one that was banged up after that hopefully, I think he'll be good. So, we'll see, as the week progresses. Jax is good. He got the wind knocked out of him at the end of the first half. So I wasn't sure exactly what had happened. Got the wind knocked out of him and just needed a minute to get back.
So when you go back, defense didn't play real well at Eastern Michigan, didn't play real well against Marshall. Is it as simple as just you tackle better? Or what have you done better defensively, like you say, 5 out of 6 plays the last 2 games than those 2 games when the defense was struggling?
I think we've tackled and communicated much better. Eastern Michigan was really disappointing, I think, when you go back and watch it. The tackling was not very good, but there was just a lot of times that we were the fits were, we were down on this side and we thought we were down on there was just some communication things in there that shouldn't happen. We're playing really well up front right now, really physical. And I think our linebackers have continued to play better and better as the year's going on. So, I think it's the combination of the 2 things. I mean, I said it from the beginning of the year. I felt like this year's defense could be really good. They're playing the way that we need them to play, especially right now. But I think it's just the consistency and the way that we're tackling. I thought we were really physical the way we tackled. It wasn't just getting there and getting them down. We were knocking them back, and we weren't giving up extra yards. And that's a big part of being efficient on third downs. Is those the dirty yards where, they're falling forward for 2 or 3 extra yards and they're getting a 3rd and 2 and 3 instead of 3rd and 5 or 6. That makes a big difference, and we were able to capitalize there. Thought we did a really, really good job keeping the quarterback in the pocket. We knew that he's a threat to run it, and we matched the coverage pretty well on a lot of the third downs. And when he took off to run, I thought we condensed and squeezed the pocket really well, which is something that we haven't always done, close to what we would expect. So, we're playing good and we're playing hard. I think on defense, when you play really hard with good players, I think you got a chance to do some good things.
Coach, for you as a play caller, does it make it more difficult to be able to scheme things up in the run game when your offensive line is kind of shuffling? You got guys in and out of the lineup. Do you look at it like, hey, my left tackle's out, we might need to lean more to the right? Or how does that kind of work for you?
Yeah, at times it does. You're juggling a lot of things in there when you got guys that are in and out and trying to figure out who's playing well at the time and kind of where you think your strong points are. It's a little bit of a challenge, and I think that's we keep going back to it. And I said it after the game, that's why we got to find a little bit more efficiency in the throw game too, to take a little bit of pressure off of some of that stuff. Because I think, especially in the first half, whenever we were throwing it and mixing in the throws a little bit in that first quarter, you're able to move the ball pretty easily. Whenever that kind of goes away, you take a couple shots where you feel like you got a chance for big ones and they turn into turnovers. Well, that kind of affects a lot of things in the way that you call it. There's a lot of things that make it challenging, but these guys are scrapping, and up front, and they are busting their tails and they're playing really hard. And our backs, I thought that was one of Bill's best games that he's played. I think having Bill and Zylan back to back, I think has been really good. Steven Blanco didn't play a ton of plays, but played great when he was in there. His production maybe in the Russian game wasn't great, but he had some key blocks, did a really good job, was in the right spot. So, we just got to keep finding ways to manufacture some yards, and part of that is getting us in the right stuff. And, the other half of it is those guys just got to keep playing hard like they are and keep trying to find a way to, get after them a little bit.
We can see more of Howard in these 2-minute situations.
I don't know. I mean, that was, it was, in the, at the time, it just kind of felt like it was a good time to do it. It was a 2-minute situation, which I think he's good at. I think he thrives in those things a little bit. We had sputtered a little bit on offense, hadn't, had a turnover in the second quarter and hadn't moved it as good at the end of the second quarter. Felt like the timing was right. I think we do need to continue to prepare him to play. I think just long term, you've got at least 5 left, hopefully 6, and by some miracle, maybe 7. But you got to continue to get the guy ready to go play. And he's looked really good in practice, but nothing replaces those game reps. And, he threw some really good balls. We had a big drop that would have been an explosive. He had 2 big throws in there that were completions. Another one just off the fingertips. So, he went in there and executed, really well. Obviously, the turnover, we gotta be a little more careful with the football. But we'd certainly got to continue to get him ready to go play. And hopefully, I think if we feel good about it, being able to get him a little bit every game, a drive or 2, I think is really good for him. At some point, if and when we need him again, you want him to be really confident, be ready to go. And I thought he threw the ball with a lot of confidence, and he's practiced well.
So when you were watching film, when you started watching the inefficiencies with the passing game, is it hard to determine how much of that is when he's just not healthy on that throw and that's what, or is it he's just not gotten enough throws because he's still a young quarterback and he hadn't been playing quarterback all year, or the communication wasn't good with the wide receiver? Like, what was it more than not in that situation?
Yeah, some of the shot, and this is, I think this. Like, this is never like a blame. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's never what it really is. The shot on the interception, I just don't know. Like, I don't know what happened. He said it slipped out of his hand. It's the first play after the half. We had one down the field that that could have been a pretty good chunk for us. Ball just didn't come out very good. He said it just kind of slipped out. So, it is what it is. We had another one, a shot that, probably after the pick didn't feel great about throwing. He ran and got some yards on it. Realistically, I think some of it, I think, is he's so comfortable running it at times too that, you know, when 1-2's not there, he's just going to take off, which I'm fine with. You know, but he makes some big plays like that now. Like he hit a 26-yard run on one where, you know, they match it up a little bit. Instead of taking the check down, he takes off and makes a huge play. So that's always part of his game. You know, there's one, you know, we're on a sprint out, you know, the receiver starts to like drift up the field. Yeah, and I don't know why. Like there's no reason to, you know, and the ball's right off his fingertip. You know, it's just some of those things where we've had so many moving parts, you know, maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But you know, we got to just keep getting better, you know, and we got to just keep working through it. And, you know, we've had to shuffle the deck at receiver and different guys in different spots. And obviously this is the third quarterback we've had playing and all that stuff. But, you know, at this point in the year, we should be more efficient in the quick games and the nakeds and things that we're doing, you know, that we ought to be able to, we ought to be a lot more efficient by this point than we are. But we're not. So, you know, it's just, it seems like it's just kind of one here, one there, you know. I mean, we have one ball that's, you know, just a little bit outside of Caden's reach that, you know, the ball's in a good spot. It's just too far in front. You know, you have one of them, you know, in the 2-minute drill where the corner route didn't go, needs one more rotation to get over the top of the corner. So the space is tighter, so the corner gets a hand on it, tips it out of there. You know, it's just kind of some of those things that, you know, by nature of, I guess, maybe having to place, I don't know. It's just still not quite where you want it.
He left the game less healthy than he went into it.
He left more healthy, I would say. You're talking about lunch. I think he feels, well, I don't know. He didn't get to tell me the truth probably. But, you know, yesterday he said he felt better than he did the week before. You know, truthfully, the week before against JMU, he came out of it okay. And then in practice, he kind of, I guess we say now he's playing and he's good. He had no oblique that in practice he rips one and then all of a sudden kind of almost goes down to a knee. And it was just like, oh my goodness, you know, I mean, so Tuesday, you know, he did it on Wednesday, so he was limited the rest of the day. Wednesday, Thursday, he came out and threw it and did, you know, felt like threw it good enough to be effective. That's a pretty short turnaround. So he said that feels a lot better, which is good. You know, because against James Madison, he threw it pretty good, really. You know, and, you know, so hopefully, you know, that continues to get better. But he said he felt a lot better yesterday.
So, Troy, is this going to be more of a challenge, like a team that's just going to line up and we want to throw the football? Like y'all face some good passes, but this team really is throwing the football. Is it a different challenge than y'all had all year now?
Well, it is, because I don't think it's what you think it is. It's not what I thought it was either. You know, you see the passing yards and all that stuff. They're in 12 personnel and 13 personnel some of the time. Their quarterback's throwing off these RPOs quite a bit. I think the nature of it too. Now you got to think about it. The games, they've been behind in a lot of these games and found a way to win. So that changes, right? The way you play a little bit. You know, I mean, Texas State's 28-7. You know, I mean, you're going to have to throw the ball more than probably what you're comfortable doing. A lot of their throws are off of RPOs. A lot of their throws are just, you know, they're singled up to the field and they throw it up and have some receivers that go make plays on the ball. So they're gonna try to establish the run. Now they're a little banged up on the O-line too. You know, I don't know if anybody's got as many as us, but they've got their share as well. So you know, they're trying to manufacture some throw game with RPOs and things like that. And I think their wideouts do a good job. You know, when they're in one-on-ones, they win. Quarterback's played really smart. You know, I think he's only got maybe 2 picks on the year. He's played a lot. He's a better athlete than you probably think. He's more than a willing runner, which is another thing that helps you a little bit in the run game. But they're not throwing it, I don't think, the way that you probably think they are, the way that I thought they were. They're still getting in. You know, Coach Parker was at Notre Dame, you know, I mean, and they played 12 personnel and played that type of game. So you got to figure that's what he likes. It looks like it. And I think they've got some tight ends that play really good. They get them the ball in the throw game, but I think they play good in the run game as well. So, you know, they're banged up a little bit up front. So I think part of it is, well, you know, we're not running as well. We got to throw it a little bit more too, you know, so there's probably some of that and the nature of the games they've played.
Coach, just, you know,
Unless it's a bad question, then we're done.
I guess just, you know, what is your message to Cajun Nation as you guys kind of continue to work through the season and trying to get this thing back on track and going in the direction that you would like?
We appreciate Cajun Nation, our fan base, and nobody wants to be where we are right now. I mean, look, we had really high expectations going into this season. I mean, no one more than me. We've had a lot of things that have transpired from week one that are less than ideal. A lot of it's out of our control. The thing we can control is we're going to continue to play really hard. We're going to continue to go out there every day and lay it on the line. And we're going to scratch and claw. We're going to try to find a way to win these next 5. I mean, I do appreciate their support and the ones that are with us. And the ones that doubt it, I get it. I mean, it's certainly not what we wanted right now. But we got a group of men in that building right there that they don't have any quit. They show up day in and day out and they work their tails off and they're playing incredibly hard. So that's the one thing I promise you. And week in and week out, we're going to put the best 11 we got on both sides of the ball out there. We're going to lay it on the line, and we're going to have to win some close ones. So we're going to have to get comfortable being uncomfortable in these fourth quarter games, and we're going to have to find ways to scratch out these one possession wins. And right now we haven't done a great job of that, but all we need is one domino to fall, and we're closer than it maybe looks, and we know that. So we're going to keep punching.